rather more important question underpinning that inquiry, because I don't want to fall out, and I suspect that if I was stuck at home every single day, I may feel a little differently about this. But if I were to make a list of the stuff that really matters most right now, would they really be near the top of that list? Or do you, like me, worry that it's got a slight air of July the 4th, D-Day, Christmas, these parties or good news, too desperate to announce?
On your radio, on Global Player, and this is LDC.
From Global's newsroom at 10 o'clock, plans to reorganise the NHS in England are due to be revealed by the Health Secretary in Parliament. Matt Hancock says the reforms will bring together the health service, social care and local government, so services are more integrated and red tape is cut. The shake-up will reverse changes introduced in 2012. But Dr David Wrigley, the Deputy Chair of the British Medical Association Council, has questioned the timing.
We are in the middle. Patient care has been affected, operations have been cancelled, and another reorganisation now is just not the right time. We need to focus on what's in front of us now and put this aside and look at this in the future when we have some breathing space.
Matt Hancock insists the government is doing everything it can to make sure that people can have a summer holiday. Cabinet ministers have been accused of sending mixed messages about whether COVID restrictions on travel will be relaxed by then. He says it's too early to give a concrete answer.
There is uncertainty, and we've all lived with that for the last year. Now, I absolutely hope for a great British summer, and I'm working incredibly hard to try to make sure that that can happen. And the best part of that is that the vaccine rollout is going very well.
Heathrow Airport says the Prime Minister needs to include a plan to restart international travel when he outlines his roadmap later this month. Passenger volumes at the West London hub were down 89% last month compared with the previous January. The European Commission says the Northern Ireland Protocol in the Brexit deal is the only way to protect the Good Friday Agreement. Vice President Marcos Sefcovic has admitted teething problems with the measure. It's designed to prevent a hard border with the Irish Republic, but has resulted in additional checks for goods crossing from Great Britain to Northern Ireland. A new drug for treating obesity has been described as a game changer by researchers. Semaglutide works by suppressing appetite. A global study has found it can help to cut body weight by up to 20%. And the Met Office says temperatures fell to minus 22.9 Celsius last night. That was recorded in Braemar in Aberdeenshire, the lowest in the UK in more than 2 decades. In the city a short time ago, the FTSE 100 was up 8 points at 65.33. The pound buys $1.38 and €1.13. And the weather, another very cold day, but most places fine and dry with some sunshine. A few sleet and snow showers for the northeast of Scotland, cloudier with some rain and snow in the southwest of England, a high of 4 degrees. From Global's newsroom, I'm Simon Conway.
Lola should be saying a virtual hello to her new clients right now, but instead she's saying awkward. Why, Lola? Set up a fancy new loft office if your Wi-Fi doesn't reach it. Never fear. With BT Complete Wi-Fi, you'll be back with a bing. Only BT gives you reliable Wi-Fi in every room or a £100 money-back guarantee. Why choose anyone else? BT, beyond limits.
Up to 3 distance. Yes, in every room or £100 of your next bill. Terms apply.
This is LDC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with James O'Brien.
It's 3 minutes after 10. Are you going anywhere nice for your holidays? No, don't ring in yet, please. I don't quite get it. You'll know by now, if you're kind enough or mad enough to listen to this programme on a regular basis, I am not possessed of what you would traditionally call news sense. As I get older, I wonder whether that's quite as big a curse as I used to consider it to be when I was actually on newspapers. What I mean by that is, when I was a newspaper journalist 100 years ago, quite often, having been monstered by the news editor for failing to come up with any scoops at all for several weeks, I would open up a rival organ, the Daily Mail usually, because they kind of led the field in the kind of showbiz journalism that I was supposed to be providing for the Daily Express, albeit with a slightly kinder approach to proceedings. I would open the Daily Mail, see a story on page 3 or page 7, and I'd turn to my deputy or my PA and I'd say, oh God, we knew that, didn't we? We just didn't realise it was a story. That's how bad I was. Quite how I ended up in charge of that department is anybody's guess. But as I get older and I see sometimes the arbitrary nature of... I'll give you an example. If a busker got offered a £1 million record deal, which would occasionally happen, I love that story a lot more than when Chris Evans went backstage on Top of the Pops and it turned out he was having a relationship with Jerry Halliwell, Ginger Spice. So we were there that night and didn't put 2 and 2 together until it was on the front page of the Sun the next day. But I was always more interested in the busker stories. I digress slightly. The point is, as I get older, I recognise the arbitrary nature sometimes of the news agenda. Why, for example, are we more interested today in NHS reforms being announced by Matt Hancock than we are in the squillions of pounds in contracts apparently awarded to Conservative cronies and donors? What is the more important issue, generally and objectively, for you? What do you care more about? Public money apparently making its way into the pockets of questionably qualified providers of PPE who have a history of either drinking with or donating to prominent Conservative politicians, or Matt Hancock's announcement later today that they're going to reform the reforms that they voted for back in 2012. That's the thing that amazes me most about the Vote Leave government, is they kind of pretend they had nothing to do with the previous 10 years of Conservative government, even though they were all in it together. So I think that the crony contract story, objectively, is huge. The NHS reform story, listen, if you were opposed to what the Tories did in 2012, then you have to at least be open to the possibility that they were about to undo stuff that you thought was damaging. So as long as you're not, you know, the next bit about scarves and tightness and blood to brain, you should, with an open mind, be prepared to welcome whatever it is Matt Hancock's going to cobble together today, with the caveat that it can't really be as important as the contract story they're desperate to distract from. And there are some very wise people suggesting that it may be the first stage in a process of blame shifting with regard to the pandemic response. I don't know, and I'm not talking